You're listening to Recovery Queen Melissa Presents Tales from the Trap. I'm your host, Melissa McMillan. I'm a recovering addict, a human trafficking survivor, and yes, a human trafficking convict. I spent 20 years living in active addiction, experiencing things most couldn't imagine. This podcast is where we tell the truth about the streets, about the system, about survival, recovery, trauma, and the people who never made it out. These stories are raw, real, and sometimes they're hard to hear, but you know what? They matter. This is Tales from the Trap. So, unfortunately, I thought I had enough messages for a whole other part, and I don't. This is where it ends. I talked to her in September of 2017 when I came home from rehab, and I was in active addiction, and I told her, I want you to have him. I want you to adopt him. And she took that shit serious because she already loved that baby. So she was like, say less. So from September so my baby dad was in a recovery home. He had just gotten out of treatment. We were both away at treatment. He came back. He was in the recovery home, and we ran into each other. And we went off in active addiction from September until I finally left in January. From September to January, I lived 20 years in and out of active addiction. Those months from September 2017 until January 2018 were the most horrific times of my life. That was the darkest I've ever been in my life. It was the most traumatic. It was, I don't know. I can't explain it to you. So yeah, anyways, I pop back up, and because I had left him January after Christmas. I think we were both really tired, and we were living in this disgusting roach infested bedroom that we were renting in a trap, like a rooming house downtown. It's been tore down since then. But it was awful, and there was rats, and we were it was not good. It was not good. And I knew if I didn't get out that I was going to do it until I died. And I just needed to get out for a minute. It had been a really long fucking, like, from September till January. It was horrific. I wish I could explain it to you. I don't want to go into it because I don't want to. It's tired. We've talked about what happened to me throughout that time. I was on the streets doing 304 stuff. It was horrific. So, I popped back up. I left him. I went to the Ginevra house, and I went to message Jamie and realized that she had built a family and built a life with Noah and her 3 kids and the baby. And I was terrified. I was terrified, and I was mad at her. And that's where the messages pick up. So she messages me, she shows me pictures of my daughter on her first day of school. Then in January, I message her, hey. She goes, hey. I said, so I'm at the Ginevra house. I have to see CAS on the 16th, and then I will have my visits with the kids here and would like to see the baby as well, just an FYI. I will see if they can have him picked up or whatever, but I'd like to see him as well. I don't know what the fuck Noah's mother is doing telling people Price is the baby you and Noah adopted together, but that is extremely hurtful, and I don't know these people, and I'm not happy with this at all. Does he have a criminal record? Do they know he's living with Price? Where is this crap coming from? I am not keeping my mouth shut about it anymore. I am fighting for my rights to my son. No one is adopting him. Sorry. You took him to help me and keep him out of care, not to play house with your boyfriend. Take care. And unfortunately, that's that. I'll tell you a little bit of what happened. So, I started seeing the baby again along with my girls. The baby would cry constantly, when he would have to leave his mom. It was horrific. And it wasn't long before my mom had said, you know, you need to focus on your daughters. And if you're going to get better, you need to focus on them. And you need to let Jamie keep that baby. And we won't make it easy for you if you don't. And I knew she was serious. I wasn't about to fight. I was not in any position. I was sitting in a domestic violence shelter. Like I knew he had, and I had no bond with him. I really didn't. When I would get him, there was no bond. Like it wasn't like he was mine, and it was not like it was with my girls, because when I would see my girls, like I was their mom. When I would see him, it wasn't like that. So I decided in June of 2018 is I signed custody over to Jamie, and she has had that beautiful boy ever since. And yeah, the rest is history. I don't know. We don't have any more content. This is the receipts part 3. So the first one is from my friend Alyssa. Hold on. So the first question was when I came home. So when I got out of jail, I'm assuming, what was the dynamic between you and your oldest? That's the thing. When you are young and you have your children and you are not cognitively developed, you are not as mature as you should be at 21. When I had her, I just turned 21 the month before I had her. And yeah, like I was a child with with a drug addiction. Like I was in a horrible relationship, and I was not well. But I had this child thinking it would save me or us or whatever the fuck, because I was a child in my brain. I started drugs so young, I think it like stunted me cognitively. I say this all the time. I literally think that's why I had no inhibitions. That's why I was like, I'm invincible. Nothing's going to kill me. Or I felt like I didn't care if anything did happen to me. Like I had a death wish. And I think that has a lot to do with my maturity level. I don't know. So yeah, it was hard. We grew up together. She was raised by my parents. So I was the cool older sister. She just happened to call mom. I just happened to be her mom. So it's always been like that. But like, it wasn't bad. It was just not good because she looked at me like not her parental figure. So when we moved out of my parents and she came to live with me full time with her sister and realized that like, we can't be homies. Like you are my child and I have rules, and you're not going to be not working, not in school, going out till 4 o'clock in the morning and sleeping all fucking day and doing whatever the fuck you think you're going to do in my home. That's not gonna fly. So for her, she was like, fuck you. I watched you overdose, bitch. You know what I mean? You gave me cigarettes when I was fucking 12. Like, you want to fucking be my mom now, bitch? Fuck you. That's how it was. She was like, and she's made TikToks about it, like, oh great, my sisters get fucking super mom, and I got a degenerate junkie, and she shows like screenshots of me begging her for money. When I got out of jail, she had just spent the like first 5 months, not 5 months, but the first half of her semester of grade 9, her first year of high school, meeting me downtown at the methadone clinic, where she would take me to go to Subway or wherever to get food, because that would be the only time I would eat that day. So how the fuck do you see this fucking junkie bitch begging you for money, lying, saying her internet's gonna get cut off because she knows her 16-year-old has a fucking little job at Harvey's? So, or wherever the fuck she was working at the time. So I was like, she's going to be like, yeah, you're my parent now. No. And I don't blame her for a second. But also on the other hand, I had an 11-year-old in the same home, and you are not turning this place into a fucking no, I am responsible. Like you are, she was 18. She had just turned 18. You are 18. So you cannot be doing that in a home that has a child. And if you don't go get help, you need to get the fuck out. So that's what happened. She was struggling a little bit, you know? So I said, sorry, tough love. And I preach this because I know it fucking works. The best time for hard lines and ultimatums and tough love is in the first little bit of a person's active addiction. So when they're a teenager and they're experimenting and you see fucking some shit that doesn't look right because you're their parent and you know your child, because I was going, I'm not crazy. There's something going on with her. Why is my kitchen organized? Fucking, like, why are you up all night organizing my fucking kitchen and bathroom and you're fucking doing fucking, you little, you know what I mean? I'm not dumb. I'm a fucking junkie myself. So I was like, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. And she did. She told me to go fuck myself when I said, you need to go to detox or treatment or whatever the fuck, but you can't be doing, this is, no, you need help because you're using alone. Like, that's red flag, red flag. What is going on? So, you know, and you can't Narcan yourself. And the day you overdose in my fucking home when I have children, and I will fuck you. Yeah, I will fucking kill you. So yeah, there was a point where I fucking went at her. I grabbed her. My aunt was here because we conducted this little intervention on her. But when you've watched me overdose, you've seen me, like, the shit that I did in front of Cadence, it was horrific. So how can she see me as a fucking parent or somebody to trust or think that I know what I'm talking about? Because she thinks she knows everything, because every 18-year-old thinks they know everything. So when I'm telling you, like, if you stop now, you can change the direction of your life. But if you keep doing this, you're going to end up just like me or end up just like your dad. And she was like, fuck you. I'm not like you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So she left because I have 2 other children that I'm responsible for. And the day I let anybody jeopardize my fucking hard work, regardless if you're my child or not, we all worked so hard to get where we are. My children and I alike, right? It wasn't easy for my kids living in the suburbs, growing up with a fucking, going on trips to Dominican and Jamaican fucking, and then moving in with me in the hood, living on fucking one income. Like, sorry, you know, I can't get you to the new fucking iPad every time it comes out, bro. No, I don't have the money to take you to an all-inclusive in fucking Dominican. Like, nah, that's just how it is. We're gonna rough it, but we're gonna be together. So it was hard for them. I'm not saying it was easy for anybody. We worked really fucking hard. So the day that I would allow anybody to jeopardize it, no. So she left. And she was living hand to mouth from house to house to house to house. Then I got her into the DV shelter. That didn't last that long, but she kind of got her ducks in order, and she, you know, applied for assistance and applied to get into subsidized housing. And once she got sober and clear-headed, I think things got better. And she just really wanted to come home. She just really, really, really wanted to come home. So my parents took her first, and she kind of got her head clear. And she, you know, she's between here and my mom and dad's for now, and we're hoping to get her own little place because I was out at 16. So, you know, so she's better. She's better, and things are better. I think she respects me a lot more because I held my hard lines. And I did not let her back until I knew her head was better. And she's better now. And I know that because she is my child and I am an addict, and I see myself in that little girl. So, next question. But was it the same dynamic between you and the rest of the girls? How did your parenting style change with her? So I know she's older and completely understand if you don't answer questions. I always feel invasive. I'm not blah, 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 blah. So yeah, her and I have always had a more like bestie relationship. She's also, and I'm going to be real when I say this, she's also a lot like her dad. And her dad have a relationship. And she triggers me. She triggers me. I will be honest. She triggers me. I have had to grow the fuck up when it comes to my oldest, instead of being I have to be a fucking parent. And it's hard when you have teenagers, when you're fiery too and you're trying not to be like, yeah, fucking bitch, you know what I mean? Like when you're trying not to respond to their shit because they're a kid. You're not a kid, bro. I'm not going to fight with my fucking 18-year-old and say mean things. And I had a hard time with that because she reminds me of her dad. And when she'd be like fucking losing it on me, like flip the fuck out in the house. And I'd be like, okay, Patrick, that would make it worse. And I can't do that to her. I can't do that to her. That's childish. That is extremely immature. And I've had to stop doing a lot of things because she knows what a fucking and she'll say things to me like, you fucking overdosed in front of me, oh, you fucking did this in front of me, oh, you fucking blah, blah, blah. Right? So I've had to just shut my fucking mouth and be a mom and understand that I am the adult. And I have my mother that is constantly like, Melissa, you're the fucking adult. She's a fucking child. And I'm like, yeah, well, can a child get a fucking 8-ball of blow? Fee's a fucking child. So, like, I've really had to understand that now she is still a child, even though she's got a mouth of a fucking, 30-year-old that I want to pop in the nose. She's still only 18, 19 this year. So, I've had to just not be so trap house Mel with her. I'm trying to be soft with her, but it's hard. With my younger girls, they don't know me as, they do because they know a little bit of my past, so they understand that I was in jail and that I was a crazy bitch and all that shit, but they don't see her. They see her with my oldest, though. When they watch me pop off, that doesn't happen anymore, but before, because she was acting crazy all the time, and then it would make me act crazy, and I'd be like yelling and get the fuck out of my house, you stupid fucking crazy bitch. I can't do that shit in front of other kids. It's domestic violence, bro. We can't be doing that shit, right? And it was hard. It was hard for a minute because you lose her fucking mind, yelling and screaming at me, and I'd be like, whoa, I'm going to yell back. So we've had to grow. But we're awesome now. We don't yell anymore. Since she's gotten back and she's trying and she's getting her shit together and she's doing well and she understands that she can't act like that in front of her younger sisters. She can't be saying fucking weirdo shit in front of her sisters and, like, can't be saying stuff. Don't be saying stuff about their mother in front of, like, if you want to be mean to me, but don't say fucking shit. They don't need to hear any of that. So, it is a lot better now. Long story short. Than even recording. Okay, let's talk about the next question. So, the next question is about the receipts, or Jamie and I. Was there a point during your fallout with Jamie that you didn't want her seeing your girls as well? I didn't have really control over that, right? So my parents and Jamie were always close and she always saw my girls. When I got out of jail and me and Jamie reconciled and then had another falling out, yes. When I was like 2 years sober and had resentments towards her and didn't like that her and my mom were close, and I felt I don't know, it was just, I felt judged. Like 9 times out of 10, when you have resentments and hate towards someone, it's a fucking your own projection. It was a projection. I've talked about that. But yeah, there were times where I was like, I don't want her buying gifts for my kids, Mom. Like, I tell her to fucking, I don't even want her around my girls. Like, you can have, like, I wanted to have boundaries with that. I didn't want, and it was stupid. It was ridiculous because she saved my fucking daughters. Like, you know what I mean? She helped my mom manage when she was having a really fucking hard time. So to be like, I don't want you, that's fucking evil. And it was all a projection of my own shit, right? So the friend that I say I was going to give the baby to, was she actively trying to get custody? No. Like, she had it in her head that she would be approved, and I knew she wouldn't. But I also knew that she was so she was giving me, and I was making it seem like she was going to get him, knowing full well that she wouldn't have passed a check with child protection. So I was just feeding her bullshit, and she was coming to the hospital when I was in the mental institution, and she was taking me out to see my son, and really she was giving me to do in her car. She would go pick up a kit before she would come to pick me up so I could in her car. Yeah. The whole time I was in the hospital. So no, she never once met him. Never. Was there ever a point after when your ex got clean that he finally got to say his piece to you, or did he completely go ghost? He completely went ghost. What happened was we were separated. Like, he was at a recovery home and I was at the shelter, and he was seeing Emily and I was seeing the girls and the baby. And I was still seeing him sometimes. Before he went into the recovery home, I was going and staying with him in this room that we had rented together that I had left, because I was like, I'm going to myself if I don't get us out of here. So my thought process was go to the DV shelter and they'll get me into housing. Then I could get us a place, right? Because I've done that many times before. And I was only there after I paid off my housing. I was only there for 9 months before I got a call from my 1-bedroom. So anyways, that was my thought process. So we separated. And before he went to the recovery home, because I felt really bad that he was there by himself, because it was really fucking disgusting. And it was hard. I'm sure he was using or struggling. I wasn't using at that time. But anyways, before he went to the recovery home, the biological father was calling me from prison and getting his friends to call me and stuff. And there were times where I was with my partner and he would call and it would upset him and piss him the fuck off. And I was also seeing the baby again. So I think that pissed him off as well, because he was like, I don't want, like, if we're going to be like, I don't want, but I didn't give a fuck. I was like, I'm seeing him, you know? So one day I got a visit with all three of my girls. And I was telling him that Emily's hair was really long in her eyes. Like, why are they letting her? She can't even fucking see. And his sister had her at the time. So I cut her bangs and told him. And he flipped the fuck out. He was like, don't ask. He flipped the fuck out. He was trying to reconcile with his family at the time, I think. And he was just trying to find a way to, like, leave me permanently. He was done, like, obviously. He'd been through quite a bit. He was done. When his sister got my daughter, and that was his out. He was like, I'll still see my kid, like, I'm out, like, peace, I'm going with my daughter. Pretty well, that's what happened. So I was like, I cut her bangs, and he's like, what the fuck? Why would you do that? Like, my sister's gonna trip. You're a fucking idiot. And they posted it all over Facebook that I was, like, overstepping, or, like, they used the word abusing, bro, because I cut her bangs. Okay. Twice this happened. They called child protection on me because I cut her bangs while they had her. We were just slinging mud at each other. It was ridiculous. But he got mad at me and went blocked me off everything. And that was that. That was that. There was a period of time when I came back to my parents, I think, and I had gotten Instagram, and we were friends on Instagram. And that was short-lived because he was trying to fuck my friends. He was fucking all of my friends, okay? He fucked my friend Kelsey. He fucked my other friend Kelsey. He was fucking my friends. He was trying to fuck my friend Ashley. And these girls were sending me the screenshots of him trying to fuck my friends. And all, like, it would be like 300 heart notifications from my baby dad that these girls were sending me on Instagram. And I messaged him and I'm like, are you okay? Are you struggling? What the fuck? You look like a fucking stalker, bro. This girl sent me pictures of you liking 200 of her fucking pictures. Messaging her saying like, because these girls were all in active addiction. And at the time, I think he was like working outreach or something downtown. And he was like fucking with all these addicts and telling them like, oh, I can help you get better. And like, he was like really working the 12 steps and, you know, doing the NA thing and living at the recovery home. You know, when you live at the recovery home, you're all hanging out with all the AA and NA cool people. And they're actually like the most toxic, mentally ill fucking... Anyways. So yeah, he was like right into that. And like... So he got mad at me because I messaged him and I was like, are you okay? Like, why are you trying to fuck all my friends? Like, you... Like, cool. Get your fucking dinky stinky, but like, you look like a lunatic and you're making me look like a fucking... What are you doing? These girls are gross. I was just pissed. Like, if you're gonna fuck broads, make sure they're hot. At least hotter than me. You're gonna fuck ugly fucking... Anyways, I know you like tracks, but what the fuck? Anyways, sorry, I'll stop. So I was pissed, so I blocked me off Instagram. Years went by, and I got arrested. And my cousin Jillian reached out to him while I was in jail. And he fucking answered her, which is shocking. And he said she can call me. She could call me. And I did. And he fucking answered. He answered while I was in jail. So I called. We talked. He was like, you'll be fine. Jail's not even that bad. Just fucking do your time. You'll be okay. Like, he was talking to some fucking, like he was a sponsor. It was fucking stupid. I'm like, hey, how about we have a child together? How about we fucking talk like humans, you fucking weirdo? Anyways, no. That was not happening. So we talked for like 5 seconds. I let him go. And then I asked him, before I let him go, I said, hey, can I talk to Emily? And he fucking let me, bruh. He actually let me. He was like, yeah, I have her tomorrow. Call me at this time. And I did. And he answered. So he let me talk to my little girl. And that was that. He wouldn't answer the phone after that. And it's been, that was in 2020. And we have not had any word since. We've never talked about us or the past or what happened. Never, not one time. I don't think we ever will. I do not think we'll ever get to a point because like I got about 7 words out of him, maybe a couple less, maybe 5 at my daughter's soccer game the other day. And they weren't even directed really at me, but still, it's really sad. It's sad like that. You know, I've never gotten closure from any of it. And I think that's why a lot of the times I dwell. I think I dwell and the trauma bond has been harder to overcome because there has been no closure. The only closure I get is that he's clean. He's a good dad to our daughter. And he's been single ever since we split. He hasn't had one serious fucking ting-ting. He just fucks broads. No serious nothing since me. So that makes me feel a bit better. Because I'm like, damn, I'm not the only one. Because I fuck people sometimes. Not really. I used to, but not anymore. But, like, since I got sober, no. Before, yeah. Yeah, definitely. He's a pig. He just fucks bitches. That's what he does. I had this girl call me last summer that was, like, fucking him and, like, telling me all this weirdo shit. And I was just like, damn. Anyways, it's embarrassing sometimes. But yeah, no closure whatsoever. Never talked. That's that. Pretty well. This is called The Year That Changed Everything. 2017. 2017 was not a turning point. It was a deeper dive, and I was diving directly for my first of many rock bottoms. It was not the year that I got clean, not by far, but it was the year that I stopped pretending like I even wanted to. 2017 was like winter in my chest, even when it was 30 degrees outside. It was the year that I decided I was no longer going to bother asking for help, but when I started to beg for fronts. It was the year that my name stopped sounding like my own and more like, yo, you got that? I was disappearing in plain sight. My skin was hanging off of my bones. In my mind, it was unraveling violently into deep, unknown tangents. 2017 was the year that I would wear the same clothes for weeks straight and beg the wind to take me anywhere but here. People would say, "Weren't you scared of dying?" And I was, but it, the thought of dying wasn't as scary as waking up another day being me. That was the year that I forgot. I'd lost track of how many strangers I had given my body to just to feel well or whole or numb or just to feel wanted. My daughters were little whispers, their names that I was too ashamed or too scared to say out loud. I watched other people mother them from a screen on a broken cell phone and still had the nerve to call myself a mom. 2017 was needles and nightmares. It was psychosis and hotel rooms and blood on bathroom floors. 2017 was being pushed out of a moving car by two men who had taken something from you you knew that you would never get back, even if you did one day get clean. 2017 was a man that I loved yelling in my face and ripping the clothes from my body, and me standing there naked and terrified, barefoot and numb. It was waking up. It was waking up with something tied around my neck and praying that he would pull tighter. 2017 was too dumb to leave and too numb to even care. 2017, it wasn't the bottom, not yet, but it was the cliff that I dangled from for months and months, daring myself just to let go. 2017 was not healing, it was surviving on instinct and impulse alone. It was faking smiles for your children and social workers and judges while nodding off in a bathroom stall, in the bus depot, or at a Tim Hortons somewhere. 2017 was lying to everyone and telling them that I had a plan, that I was going to get out, and knowing it was all a crock of fucking shit. I knew I wasn't going to get out. I knew I wasn't going to get clean. I knew I wasn't going to go anywhere. I was 50 pounds of pain in a 120-pound body, talking fast, sleeping never, and trading dignity for dope like it was the only currency that I even had left. What people don't understand is that I didn't choose to become that version of me, not for a fucking second. But I lived her. I became her. And before I knew it, I just couldn't stop. 2017 was a blur of burnt bridges, broken promises, and aching fucking bones. Of course, I didn't know it yet that surviving 2017 would one day turn into purpose. When I never thought for a second that my story would be anything other than a fucking cautionary tale of what not to do with your life, of what not to do to your children. In 2017, I was just trying to make it through each day without falling apart or getting punched out in public. In 2017, I was not ready for change. I was not ready for recovery. I was barely ready to breathe, but somehow, some way, I just kept breathing. I have questions that I got from my friend, and I'm just gonna get into them. I'm just gonna add them to the end of the episode that I just made. So looking back, what signs were you ignoring in yourself that showed that you were losing control back in 2016? Everything. I remember the first time, because I had done like before, then I had 2 more kids and I was in a, committed relationship, and that never had to happen. But when I tried for the first time, it completely took everything that made me a normal human being. Like, it was primal. All I cared about was that, and all I cared about was figuring out a way to get money to get that for us. And he was on board. So I remember the first time I went, after I ran out of like resources to borrow money and to scam people for money, I remember setting up a call, and he was on the couch, and I went downstairs and I looked at him and I said, "I'll be right back." I didn't say anything else, and I went and did what I had to do, and I came back with money. And he was like, "What the fuck? How the fuck? What?" And I was like, "Just don't worry about it." And he knew. And that was the beginning of the end. That was definitely the beginning of the end. That's when I knew, okay, like I'm I knew that was that. We were going to end up losing everything, because if I would resort to that, it was the beginning of the fucking end. And within 2 months, child protection had to be called, because it was not good. What did survival look like on the worst days, like minute to minute, hour to hour? It was literally just filling our days with trying to make money. That was that. That's all we did, was figure out a way to get money or drugs on spot. But it was mostly trying to get money. That our whole life revolved around that. Did you still feel like a mother during that time, or did that identity feel completely out of reach? Oh, I definitely did not feel like a mother. I felt like I had children that I was apart from because of my active addiction, but I definitely didn't feel like a mother. I had no contact with my kids. I would pop up every few months and decide, sorry, my phone kept saying you need more lighting, so I had to get more lighting. So the question was, did you feel like you were a mom? No. I remember her labor and delivery. No. Not when I was out there. Absolutely not. I knew I had children, that I was not a part of their lives. And I honestly, in my heart of hearts, didn't think that I would get back to them, like, for real. I really, really didn't. When you saw Jamie building a life with the baby, what emotions hit you first? Rage, grief, jealousy, shame, all of it. I was like, what the actual fuck is going on right now? What the actual fuck? I was not serious about her adopting him when I said it. I don't know. I was delusional, because there was no way of me getting better. There was no way. Like, there was no chance at that time that I would ever get better. So I had the right to feel angry and jealous and grief and shame, but I still knew it was the best thing for him. There was never not a minute that I ever doubted her being his mom was a good thing. I knew her being his mom was the best choice I could make, but I was still pissed about it. I was fucking jealous. I hated it. I hated her, but I still knew logically that it was the best thing for him. and it still is. Nothing's ever changed. I've never wavered in that. There's never come a point where I've been like, oh no, he would be better. No, 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 no. Were you still trying to convince people you were clean during that time, even though you were deep in active addiction? No, like, okay, so yeah, I would try whenever I would like talk to family or like Jamie or whatever, I would always lie and say I was doing better when I wasn't. You saw the text, you saw me flip the fuck out being like, you're such a liar. You have not been working for months and months and months trying to get better. You are not going to treatment. Why do you keep saying this? Why do you keep saying you're going to treatment? You were supposed to go in January. No, all I did was lie about trying. I've never tried once in my life to get better until I actually tried. Isn't that wild? 20 years I never actually tried. I always tried to hide it better, and I always tried to function better. But function and addiction are not, they can't coexist, in my opinion, at all. Because you're literally functioning until you're not, and it's a fine line, and it happens real fast. I know so many addicts were like, oh, I was functioning, then I wasn't, and it happens real fast. The downfall is catastrophic. So sure, you're functioning, but are you? And how long are you going to be functioning until you're not functioning? So, yeah. I lied about everything back then. If my lips were moving, I was lying. What's something from that time that still haunts you even in sobriety? Everything from September 2017 until January 2018. Those months were horrific. And I'm very curious if my baby dad feels that way. If he's still like traumatized from that time, because I know I am, and I know we experienced it together. So I'm curious if I'm a basket case or not, or if he's also a basket case. I would love to sit down with him one day and be able to talk about this, like just on a human level, like no hard feelings. Like I understand it was me that was with you, but like, I just want to hear your perspective on it. Like there's so many people who I've been able to get their perspective on what it was like to watch me go through it. But his perspective is the one that I'm like, I just want to talk about it. It would be so cathartic for me to be able to get it on the table and to really hear him, because I've never heard his side of it. I know my side. I know I was no victim. For a long time. I portrayed myself as a victim. I am not a victim. I am not a victim. If he would have been the one with the ability to do, I would have done the same thing. It was the two of us together. I am not a victim. It's still labeled as whatever, but I'm not a victim of it, because if the roles were reversed, 110%, I would have been doing the same thing. 110%. So I cannot for a second portray myself as a victim during that time, because I was just as abusive and if the roles were reversed and he was a female, I would have had him out there doing the same fucking shit. And I would have been just as fucking involved, if not more, because I'm more conniving and more manipulative and more resourceful. So it would have been a lot worse for him if he was the female and I was the male in the equation. So I just really want to get his perspective, because I think he thinks I think I'm a victim in it, and I'm not. I hold just as much fault, if not more, because I'm a mother, bro, and I let some fucking dude dismantle me mentally like that. Fucking wild. Did anyone try to save you during that period? Many people, mostly men. I would just end up like, there were so many men that were like, oh, I can save you, I can make it better, please just be with me. And then I'd be like, okay, and then like rob them or like set them up or like he'd go to work and me and Mark would rob his house. Like that happened more than once. I just took advantage of people. Everybody that tried to save me, I took advantage of. I manipulated and used their kindness for weakness. 110%. All addicts do that. Sorry. What was I saying? Did anyone try to save you? Yeah. Anybody who tried to save me, I would fuck over. Long story short. Were there moments during that stretch where you thought, this is it? I'm going to die out here? What stopped that from happening? So there was a time where me and my baby dad were really bad, and he was struggling with psychosis, and he was constantly like, there were incidents happening. Like one time he broke into this little old lady's apartment in our apartment building, and he barricaded himself in the bathroom, and the cops had to coax him out because he was terrified that I was trying to kill him. And I just remember using and being very messed up. And like, if you've ever done, you understand, like, when you're about to go under and all I see is the cops all on my balcony with flashlights, and I'm naked because it was in the middle of the summer, and I'm trying to like get to the bed so I can put clothes on, because I thought he had just left, but he had really broken into the apartment underneath us and barricaded himself in the old lady's apartment. So the very next day, the landlord shows up. We won't let him in. And this was like incidents that were happening like this all the time. Like I've been arrested a bunch of times at that apartment. So the landlord was like, I'll give you 2 months rent, your first and last, right now in a check if you leave. And I said, say less. And I took the money and left. But he was still like not well from the night before. So when we left, he jumped out of the fucking 3rd-story window again. And this time he broke all his fucking ribs. And this was not the first time it happened where he jumped out the window. I remember being in my friend Kayla's apartment underneath our apartment, and her boyfriend hearing something in the back and coming to the front of the house where we were sitting and being like, that fucking crazy newfie just jumped out the fucking window again. And I was like, he did it multiple times, but this time he broke all his ribs, and he was not well. He ended up in detox. I took off on him because I was exhausted from it. I was like, I'm going to end up in fucking jail if you keep fucking doing weird shit. Stop. And I was like on bail and shit. I was on bail. He had already had me arrested a bunch of times. Like, if anybody's ever had to deal with a partner that has psychosis, it's the most traumatic shit ever. So yeah. What was the question? I was traumatized during that whole time. I was like, from September until January, I thought I was going to end up dead because the assault happened that night, and you guys have heard the story. Do you think anyone really knew how bad it was for you out there? If not, what would you want them to know now? I will never be able to put into words what I experienced. I've tried. I thought if I could get mugshots from that time, I could show the gravity. And when I first got them, I thought, now this really shows the gravity. But because they've become a part of my content, I don't feel like it does show you the extent of how bad it actually was. There is no verbiage that can correctly depict what happened and what I experienced out there. Nobody knew how bad it was, but I'm shocked that we survived 110%, especially the time from 2016, because shit got fucked up after he left me, and it was bad, but at least I had my own apartment. At least like I didn't have a crazy baby dad in psychosis, and I could control what was happening, because like when you got somebody out of control, you can't prevent so much shit from happening. But you're just like, oh, So after he left, it wasn't as bad. But during that time, trying to like love somebody through that when they're hurting you because they're scared of you and they're convinced you're trying to kill them all the time, it was hard, bro. It was fucking hard. And it was not good. And like this picture here, this girl was like on the verge of ending up, well, no, she did end up in the loony bin. But I don't know. This girl was a mess. This girl, this is Chapo smell through and through. Fuck. I can't explain to you how bad it was. I really can't. And I wish I had videos or like anything from back then, but like some people that have videos of themselves in active addiction, I'm just like, who had a phone that was recording y'all when you guys were in the trap? Like, that was not happening where I was. There was not allowed any, like, you cannot be recording videos in the trap. And like, no, that didn't happen where we were, where I was. No, we were not video. Like, we were lucky to have a phone. Like, really? No, I can't. I could not imagine if I had those. How bad. Oh, I don't think I'd be able to watch them from that time in my life. It'd be crazy because the vast majority of the people I was with during that time are fucking gone now. They're all gone. All of them are gone. Drug overdoses. Okay, so was there ever a part of you that blamed the baby or Jamie for your pain, even irrationally? And how did you work through that? I never blamed Jamie for my pain. I did it to myself. I blamed my partner more. I was like such a fucking victim. Such a fucking victim. From 2018, when he left me, until I got sober, I was hold on. And even after I got sober, for the first, like, until the victim I worked through the victimhood. Like, I am no victim to any of it. If I am his victim, he is my victim. I victimize him just as much. But in the beginning, I blamed him for leaving me to get sober for our daughter. Like, so no, I definitely didn't blame the baby or Jamie, though. I blamed him. November 20, 2000. Investigators are realizing that what did rock bottom look like specifically between 2017 and January 2018? Not the Hollywood version, but your version. That there were lots of times that there was like rock bottom moments. Hate to keep going into this, but he was not well, and he was doing things that he wasn't in rational, sound mind, and he was doing really bizarre, chaotic, violent things that I just I'm surprised we made it. I thought that was rock bottom for me. I thought that time from September to January, that was rock bottom for me, but I just kept rock bottoming it. I rock bottomed myself all the way to a human trafficking conviction. So I've hit many rock bottoms, but the one from 2017 to 2018, definitely when I got assaulted by those two men on the stroll, that was a fucking, like, you're going to end up dying out here moment. There was a time where I thought I may have shared a needle with somebody that had HIV because I shared a room with her for 3 days, and I was convinced that I had HIV, and I don't think I had hepatitis C since 2014 that I do not have anymore because I got the treatment, and you can get the treatment too for free if you live in Canada. I'm now Hep C negative. Woo, have been for 4 years now, or 3 years now. Anyways, that was terrifying. I thought for sure I had contracted HIV from her. So there was many rock bottoms during that time. Yeah, there was a couple days there when I hit a couple rock bottoms. Let me just say there was quite a few. What helped you hold on to your humanity when everyone else was treating you like you were disposable? Sometimes I would escape. Sometimes when he would get real crazy and I would get a chance to escape and come up for air, I'd run to the domestic violence shelter. And I would get fed and get showered and get they'd give me toiletries and clothes, and I'd get to wash my hair and bath unsupervised and not in the soup kitchen bathroom. Like, when you go to a facility like that and there's social workers there that understand what you're going through, they don't understand because they never experienced it, but they're trained to receive people who are in crisis, right? So that gave me my humanity every time. They helped me survive it. If I didn't have the Ginevra House in Sudbury, I don't think I would have survived active addiction at all. That was my safe space. I would cling to that space. They saved my life many, many, many times, to be quite fair. Is there anything you've forgiven yourself for from that time is there anything you've forgiven yourself for from that time? Anything you're still working on forgiving?
Ashley said the more she held her, the more she held her, it felt right to her. It felt like it was her baby, and she really was okay.
I don't forgive that girl yet. I really wish she would have stopped after she had the baby. I really wish that would have been it for her, and I can't believe that it wasn't, and that what she experienced prior to the baby being born wasn't enough for her, that she needed to keep going. And I talk like it's two different people, because that girl is not who I am today. This girl here is not who I am today, sorry. She was screaming that she was going to get help or was getting help and was lying about it. She was screaming that she was going to get better with absolutely no fucking intention of getting better. And if she would have stopped, the whole trajectory of my life could have changed. I didn't have the tools, and I didn't have access to the medication that changed my life. And I try not to regret it. The human trafficking conviction is hard not to regret. But I think all of it kind of brought me to where I am today, but I'm definitely not able to forgive her yet. And I know I keep saying this over and over and over again, but if I ever get a chance to confront any version of me, it will be her. It will be her. One day, when I'm on the other side or on my deathbed, I would love to confront Melissa of 2017. Just for a minute. What kind of healing had to happen before you can even look at those messages again? So that happened by accident. I didn't know what I was reading. I didn't know what they were when I started reading them. When she sent them to me, I was not prepared. And it did make me regress. You've seen the crash outs. The amount of messages I got from people being like, girl, stop being so hard on yourselves. Like, thank you for sharing this with us, but please don't let it, like, you're doing amazing. Don't freak the fuck out. But I did. I crashed the fuck out. Because it's so tragic to me. It's like watching a fucking train wreck in slow motion. Like, you know what's going to happen. You know the ending, and you know that everything I was saying to her were lies. So it's hard to stomach. It's hard to because I don't remember a lot of it. I do now. Now I do, that I've been refreshed. I think if I would have found those in early recovery, if she would have sent me to those in early recovery, I would have I don't think I would have. Nope. I wouldn't have been able. No. I have done so much work. I've done so much healing. I have so much self-awareness now. Like, I know I will always love the person that I'm trauma bonded to. I know that logically. I know there is no amount of healing and no amount of time that will ever change the way I feel. And I've been able to live with that. But it still hurts to see that girl be so consumed by him, knowing the way it ends. That part is hard for me. Understanding that I wasted, I can't. It's hard. I can't articulate it. I really can't. To see the fucking version of me that was so sickly in love with that man, and to understand the ending of it, to know how it turned out, that hurts. That hurts to see. Big time. It'll always hurt. I know it. And that's okay. I'm healing, not healed. Okay, so what lies were you telling yourself just to make it through the night? That he loved me. That he loved me, and that he would never leave me, and that we were in it together, and that as long as we were together, I would be okay, and that one day we were going to get better, and we were going to get our kids back, and as long as we got through the hard parts, I knew in my heart that we would make it through. That was a bullshit story that I continuously told myself for year upon year. For 4 years, I said that to myself. It was all nonsense. It was all a fucking pipe dream, a fairy tale. Logically, I knew it wasn't true. Logically, I knew eventually he was going to leave. Logically, I knew that he didn't love me the way I loved him. I don't even think now, looking back, that he ever did love me. He loved... I don't even know, but I know it wasn't me. The thought of having... I don't know. I really don't know, but I know he never loved me for a minute. Ever. That part's hard. Considering how I was, it's hard to be like, yeah, bitch, that was all for nothing, because that man did not love you, girl. Like, what the fuck, Pookie? Why did you think for a second he did? No. No. Were there moments when you felt like you weren't even in your own body anymore? What triggered that disconnect? Many times I was like looking at us from the outside. Like, I couldn't believe that's where we were. I couldn't believe that is what we were doing and what our lives had amounted to. There were so many times where I was on the stroll and our plug was literally up the hill, like down the street and up this big hill. So I would do a call, make like $150. Yeah, I was a cheap bitch. I was selling my ass on the stroll. I wasn't making thousands, thank you. Okay? I was selling fucking $40 blowjobs on the corner, my friend. Let's be real. So I'd make $100. And I would go get a gram. And then I would go back, make $100, go get a gram. And it was the stroll, my plug, my apartment. So it was like this for 7 months. Until it got too cold to work the stroll. And that's when I ended up leaving him and going to the Geneva house in January. There was a time right before Christmas where I was like, hey, we're done. And I gained a bunch of weight and we weren't using. But I knew we were going to end up back as soon as the fucking snow was off the ground. Like, yeah. Yeah. I don't even remember what the fucking question was. Oh, yeah. Out of my old body. The whole fucking time I couldn't believe I was doing what I was doing. I literally could not believe, like, this is my life. This is my life. You know that split second when you wake up and you are still like, the tragedy that has become your life isn't apparent yet. People say this like after someone's died, when they first wake up, it's like it never happened yet. And then your heart breaks all over. That would happen every fucking morning. I would wake up thinking I was waking up to like take care of my kids and my family, and no, I would be in a fucking trap living on a dirty mattress with fucking rats and roaches, and I was a drug addict covered in track marks and hadn't seen my kids in months. So yeah, the whole time I was like, oh, you're gonna end up dead if you don't change. But I still kept going. I had a motherfucking death wish. I was like, bitch, there ain't no coming back from this. I might as well just keep doing it till I die. That was the plan. How did it feel when people would just say, why doesn't she just get help? Did you want help? Or did you want out? Yes. 110%. No addict wants to do what I was doing. Nobody, no human wants to do what I was doing. But I did not think it was possible. I didn't know what recovery even looked like. I didn't know recovery was even a thing. So of course I wanted to. When I was telling her all the times that I was trying, and I really wanted all of it to be true. I thought if I would say it enough, then maybe it possibly could be true. I just never tried. I didn't know. All I saw was one way to recovery, and that was NA. And I fucking hate the NA program in my city. So, because when I would go to Sault Ste. Marie or Timmins or North Bay, I really loved the programs, but then the one in my community were just a bunch of toxic fucking men who would prey on you, and then you would relapse and they would end up your fucking 304 clients always. Like, so I didn't have any path of recovery that was familiar besides NA and the 12-step fucking toxic shit. So I didn't understand that this could be a part of it, and that recovery could be, I could be out here screaming my recovery as loud as I was screaming my addiction. I didn't know any of this was a possibility. Even though I really wanted to be sober for my babies, I never tried because I didn't know it was possible, because I never had an example of recovery in my life, ever. Never. Did not know anybody in recovery, like actual recovery. I knew people who had really debilitating like Oxycontin addictions, then went through the MAT program, and they weren't doing opiates anymore, but they would still do blow and ecstasy and whatever. There was no actual recovery at all.
That's what she did.
Did you still pray, manifest, scream into the void? Or had you gone completely numb? I don't remember what happened, but this John dropped me off down the street from the stroll. And he was really fucking gross, and I couldn't believe that I had just done what I had done. And I just remember sitting on the curb after he dropped me off, and I was supposed to get back to my partner, and I just needed a minute, and I just sat on the curb and cried and screamed like, I just want my life back. I just wanted my babies back. I just wanted my life back. I didn't want to be doing what I was doing. So in quiet moments, in moments where I was alone, in moments where I could be vulnerable and I didn't have to be trap house Mel, I didn't have to put on a fucking facade, I could be a broken girl and logically be aware of it for a moment. Yeah, there were times like that. Many, 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 many times like that. What was the scariest thing you saw during that time that wasn't even about you but stayed with you forever?
But when these forces come into your life, different men, how do you decide where your loyalties lie?
Somebody got, I was at this house and somebody got attacked in the basement, and the girl, they're both dead now, but there was a couple and the girl got hit in the head a bunch of times with a fucking hammer and came out of, we were up top and she came out of the basement and half her head was hanging off. And my baby dad was in the hospital. I was by myself. It was right after the baby was born. Or before the baby was born, maybe. I don't even fucking remember. It was in that summer of 2017, either before or after. I think it was before, because it was still summer. Yeah, it was. And she was in a coma until she died. And I'll never forget that, when she came out and half her fucking head was hanging off because they had hit her in the head with the hammer so many fucking times. Her scalp and her head was just fucking hanging off of her. Yeah. Right down the street from my fucking house now that I live. Like, fuck. Yes. Lots of fucked up shit happened. Were you ever afraid of who you were becoming? Like, not just the addiction, but the rage, the coldness, the hustle, the trauma. I was so like, I thought that's who I was. I thought Trap House Mel was who I was. I thought I would always be like that. I thought that there was nothing good in me. I never thought for a second this was possible or I would change, or I thought that's who I was, and I was terrified because I hated her. I couldn't even look in the fucking mirror. I hated her. So yeah, there were many times where I was like, this cannot be what my life is like, and this cannot be who I am as a person, bro. Did you ever feel like a victim? Or did you feel like a monster? Or did it switch back and forth every day? Ella hears her front door open. So during that time, I would say things like I was being trafficked, or I would say things I was being abused, but it was always short-lived. I would always take it back. There were times where I would get arrested and I would be like, he fucking blah 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 blah, and then I would always take it back. But then when I got sober, I really dwelled on the victimization. Like, I really thought like, oh, I'm such a victim of that. No, you were a perpetrator just as much, Pookie. You ain't no fucking victim at all. Were you ever clean for a day or two during that time? If so, what hit you the hardest? So yeah, there were times where we were supposed to stay clean, and then he would get high or I would get high. Like, we would always just sabotage. There were times where we would like be clean long enough to like get a carry. When I was pregnant, there was times where we were trying hard. Like, right after we got our apartment in March, we tried for a minute to stay clean. There were times when we were sober. Yes. And we would just be normal and hanging out in the apartment and watching movies on our iPad. We had a projector when we first moved in, and we just watched movies. We watched ER, and like, yeah, there were normal times of sobriety. And the glimpses of that were few and far between, but they were still there, definitely. But nothing brought Edward than being a father. What would you want Jamie or anyone else raising your child to really understand about who you were during that time? I was a very sick girl. I was a very, very sick girl, and that girl is not who I am. That is the girl who was created in order to survive that life. That is not who I am. And that girl, even though she is me, realistically, logically, I understand that, but just know that nothing that was done back then will ever happen again, because I just am not that person anymore. There will never come a time where I am, sad enough or angry enough or stressed enough to ever resort back to the coping mechanisms that I used back then at all. Just the way I operate on a day-to-day basis is not that girl. And that nothing can happen that would ever make me revert back to that. There will never be another falling out between Jamie and I. ever. There will never be another falling out between me and Emily's other mom, Ange, ever. I will work my ass off till the day I die to remain in positive co-parenting relationships with the people that have my children. Not so much Jamie, because I don't co-parent with her. She is the parent with her son. But the relationship I have with Jamie as a friend will never, like, her having my biological child, it doesn't really, I don't really think about it much. She's just my friend. She's like my sister. She's like my sister. 100%. She's like my sister. That's just how it is. I operate like she is my sister. You know? So, and I'll never allow us to have a toxic relationship. We will always communicate. We will always communicate. There will never come a time where I'm like, I will always communicate any grievances I have with anybody today. Always. Nothing will ever go unsaid and let fester and like, no. My anger I will never lead with anger or resentments or emotion anymore. I don't lead with emotion. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I do. And sometimes Melissa, Trap House Mel, rears her ugly head. But I am very quick to reel her back in and reflect on why she made an appearance. I have that much self-awareness. Like, I know I did something last week that was very Trap House Smell of me. And I'm regretting it. And I'm trying not to double down and defend my behavior, but I did something that I probably should have just let go, and I didn't let go. And it's become a bigger thing than it should have been. I should have just blocked. Instead, I sent a message, and I shouldn't have. I should have blocked the bitch. Instead of being like, you're a fucking stupid fucking bit. Like Trap House Mel, you know what? I shouldn't have done it. But now I reflect, and I grow. I'm not healing, bitch. I mean, I'm not healed. I'm healing. I'm not perfect. Melissa is not perfect. And she still has a little bit of Trap House Smell in her. And that'll always be an issue. And I am growing and I am trying to evolve past it. But I think I'll always struggle with it. Anyways, I'm done for tonight, guys. I love you guys so much. See you on the next one. Bye.